Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Thanks for checking in with us tonight. We've got a wonderful episode for you tonight. After we touch base with tonight's co-hosts, we will do a political news roundup. Doug Price will then be weighing in correctly, of course, because he is always right. He'll be weighing in on whether Governor Beshear's efforts saved us or sunk us. Then we've got an interview with Tamarra Wieder with Kentucky Planned Parenthood about HB 91, which is a statewide initiative on abortion. But first, our quick plug for Progress Kentucky. As you may know, we are an all-volunteer campaign committed to turning Kentucky purple by supporting compassionate policies which put people first. If that sounds like a mission you can get behind, and you want to help us meet our goal of raising $1,500 for our current organizing project, please head to our secure Act Blue website. Should be in the comments right now. You can type it in yourself, actblue.com/donate/Progress Kentucky. Make a donation. $5, $50, $500, whatever you're able to commit is absolutely wonderful, very much appreciated, and helps us do the work of making our state a little more rational in terms of politics, which is, it's uphill. It is an uphill battle, but we're committed to tackling it each and every day, and we do it. So let's check in with our hosts. We're going to say who we are, where we are, and what our protest sign says today. Because as we all know, this is not a Talking Heads news show. This is a digital demonstration for more progressive politics. So I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Childsburg, Kentucky, which is really, it's just a subdivision in Lexington with some stupid rules about what kind of fence you can have and what your mailbox needs to look like. You heard me, Childsburg. Got issues with you, HOA. All right. So we are. I have a sign though. We've leveled up because Ken kept shaming me with something written down. So I now have a physical sign. You don't have to follow along. You can read and listen. Here it is. It says, "Protect your vote. Stop Mitch." Can we all read that? Stop Mitch. Right at the bottom. Stop Mitch. That's me. I'm now going to go to Denise Gray. Denise.
Hey everybody, it's great to be back. It's been over a month.
It's been a while.
It's been a long while. It's glad to be back. I feel fresh and renewed. So my name is Denise Gray, and I'm coming to you from the north side of Lexington, where I don't live in a subdivision where I have any restraints on what I do, because over here in the north side, we are free to be ourselves and however we want to be.
Let your freak flag fly.
Yes, and I might have a freak flag. Okay, but that's another story. So my protest sign says, "Happy Juneteenth."
Nice.
Period. So as you all know, on June 19th, we all celebrate Juneteenth, right? Which was when the last of the enslaved people in Texas were notified that, guess what? It's over. That's it. So, hey, Kim, are you here? Let me see you. What's your protest sign? Where are you coming from?
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Yes. Happy Juneteenth and everything. Right. It's wonderful. This is our July the 4th, honestly, right? So I'm Kimberly Cecil Jones, and I'm coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby and Breonna Taylor. And my protest sign says today, although Ken and Aaron and everybody is making us look a little bad, Denise, because we don't have our sign, but you can best believe next week I will be blinging and singing my sign. And my protest sign says today, Mitch McConnell, get some therapeutic help.
I know what you're talking about, but yes.
Right.
Is that a Delta 8? Is that a Delta 9? I get confused. All right.
He needs all the Delta. Okay. He needs something.
All right. Hey, Ken, man from behind the boards, what do you got?
Well, I got a lot. On a day where Republicans are obsessed with another useless border wall because Democrats and the state of Texas are visiting Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House because they successfully blocked another restrictive voting bill, or a day where Biden and Putin meet a guy who's basically ended term limits, Putin, and a country that is neither holds free nor fair elections. Our senators McConnell and Paul embrace minority rule in the Senate, pushing out propaganda as they change their stance on Trump's big lie, along with many other states in America. And so about the assault and the Capitol, on the Capitol in January. And so my protest sign is probably repetitive a little bit, but it says, "Democracy is under assault," and I believe this.
And it also
boo.
says boo.
Boo. Boo. That's true. We don't like democracy under assault. What about the scary spider, though? I do kind of like the scary spider.
Yeah, the scary spider is actually, I'm trying to make it a little bit happier, just a little happier. It's like a happy.
No, I think Ken is using some stationery left over from Halloween and he's just recycling. That's what I believe.
What?
I agree. Totally.
All right. Well, thank you all for your signs, whether they be written or spoken. They're all powerful stuff. So let's get into the news, though, shall we? News of the week. And I think the first story is coming to us from Kimberly. Maybe. Yeah?
Yes, it is coming to you from me, and it's about Mitch McConnell. And I'm happy to bring you this information that's coming out of Washington, D.C. And it's all about Mitch and how he is not going to allow any SCOTUS picks from this administration. He is an obstructionist, and that is what he does best. But however, I really want to talk to you just a little bit about how this is going to go. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is actually saying that if there was a vacancy in 2024, he's striking up fear again for us liberals, saying that the composition of the country's highest court and the importance of next year's midterm elections. And he's also saying, and lying as normal, that he thinks in the middle of a presidential election, if you have a Senate of the opposite party of the president, you have to go back to the 1880s. I think Mitch McConnell was probably born back then, but news break, this is 2021, so we can do things a little bit differently from the 20th century. Or should I say it was the 19th century. So also he was on an interview with conservative radio talk host Hugh Hewitt, who is not a favorite of mine, and I'm sure of yours. And he was just talking about basically that he doesn't think any party, if it is controlled, if it were different from the president, would confirm a Supreme Court nominee in the middle of an election. So in the fall of 2020, we also know that Mitch McConnell was very adamant and had his way as far as taking care of when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed on, to hurry up and get some people in there that he wanted. So everything he says is a contradiction to what he does. And I'm just going to go by what Rachel Maddow says, and one of my favorite people on MSNBC, she says, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. So the next thing on the agenda that I want to talk about coming out of DC is also, we want to talk about how democracy is actually dying in our country, and how the Republicans have actually made our country, or trying to make our country, into an authoritative regime. And we understand how that happened in Hungary and other countries, and we're thinking to ourselves, well, this is the United States of America and it could never happen here. Well, I never thought a clown would be ever our president of the United States, but you see what the last 4 years entailed for us. So actually, it's something fundamentally similar to what's happened elsewhere, and it only helps us to diagnose the most dangerous policies and the steps that the GOP is taking, but also that we are suffering from the same rot, that's R-O-T, rot, that has brought down democracy in other countries. So we have a party right now, which is the Republicans, that want to take down all the norms, all the democracies, all the constitutional rights that Americans have just because we're born here. So that is one thing that's also going on there in DC that they're talking about. And the other thing that is going on is something that was alarming to many, many people. And when we're talking about the Supreme Court and the bill that was given back in 2018, which was the First Step Act. And that was an act actually to get people out of prisons that had drug convictions. And so now SCOTUS and many others, it was a unanimous ruling of the law, which had been used to cut the sentences of thousands of federal drug offenders. And so many attorneys that are actually representing many kingpins and people with even minor drug convictions. And we're talking about crack here, especially. The court's ruling came over the objections of the law's author, which said that basically they're not going to uphold that any longer. So it's a new day and a new world. Back to you, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, as I try to find my mute button. So I think, obviously Mitch McConnell has shown us who he is, right? Like he, every moment, every opportunity, the man is all about naked, raw power. He said very clearly the era of bipartisanship is dead, right? The Biden era, which, lasted not terribly long, apparently. But I offer as counterpoints to this idea that Mitch is all about, stopping Biden, is that two bills passed this past week or so that I think are, important bills that Mitch McConnell could have stopped, but didn't. So the first one was this advanced manufacturing investment bill. $250 billion from the federal government going to basically compete with China, right? Like advanced manufacturing, chip manufacturing, EV battery supply chain manufacturing. We are way behind China. And a lot of people do recognize it's really critical that we catch up and we invest in America so that our, supply chains for advanced technology aren't dependent on a nation that doesn't always like us, then we have different viewpoints and different needs politically. So this is something that, that Biden will not shut up about, right? He's all about this. Every his international trip that he's on right now, he's mentioned this a number of times, trying to line up NATO to be, they're kind of the G7 to be very much focused on the challenge of China, right? And so this bill, $250 billion, which is enormous if it wasn't for COVID, where we got used to the $1 trillion being thrown around. This is an enormous investment, and it passed with 20 Republicans behind the thing, including Mitch McConnell. So that's pretty amazing because this is a big deal for Biden. Of course, the thing that maybe Mitch saw this coming, no one picked up the story. Right? The fact that Biden got this $250 billion investment package passed, you can't find that in the news. I mean, you can, it's there, but you have to Google for it. It's not on the front page. It's not amazing Biden victory with bipartisanship support, right? No one's talking about that because they'd much rather talk about the fight over infrastructure. Right. So that's a big one. The other one, I see you waving, Kimberly, I will get you. The second issue, which, gets back to Denise's sign, is Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. No, it will be a federal holiday as soon as the House passes it. But the Senate passed unanimously a resolution to support Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. and, anti-democratic Twitter troll who thinks, the January 6th insurrection was just tourists, Ron Johnson, he actually stopped this from happening last year. He blocked it from happening this year. He blocked it last year. This year, he kind of took a sense of it and realized that it wasn't going to work for him to block it. So he just issued a strongly worded press release and let it happen and went along with it. I don't think he voted for it, but he didn't vote against it. So, maybe bipartisan's back. I don't know.
No, Aaron, I don't believe so. And although this passed unanimously, the Juneteenth federal holiday, which is great and it's wonderful, it is something worth celebrating. However, it does not hit the mark for those of us of color. It does not hit the mark on the other things that need to be taken care of immediately, such as our 40 acres and a mule, knowing that we could not have that at this particular time, but reparations needs to be a discussion in the Senate and the House immediately. And I call upon the Congress and I call upon our president to speak of this, get this taken care of, get that committee together, what needs to happen, and we need to have answers at least before 2022 comes in. So in my opinion, the federal holiday of Juneteenth, like I said, is worth celebrating, but it does not hit the mark. And I'm not going to do backflips because now we are in acknowledgement of it, because it's really a day late and a dollar short as far as I'm concerned, because of the simple fact that this has been known ever since the 1800s. So we have to take, 200 years to pass some law that most of us will not be able to be off from work. Most of us will not receive compensation on June the 19th. And that is just the way I feel about it as a woman of color. Back to you, Aaron.
But also as a Black woman, I would have to concur with everything that my sister Kim spoke on. It is a little bit too late. Great, we have a holiday. Thank you for recognizing what we've all been talking about for decades, for hundreds of years. However, what we are not addressing and what the federal government is refusing to address is in how they have been complacent in perpetuating racism, such as through the housing process, how the FHA historically would not give out loans to Black people, not people of color, but specifically Black people, specifically in how that they make sure that factories are in those neighborhoods, not in neighborhoods where whites were living. So there's so many, it's a great holiday, but my community is still hurting. You cannot put a Band-Aid on a broken leg and expect it to heal properly. So let's really do the work. Let's do this Voting Rights Act. Let's do the real work and not do these little Band-Aids here and there. Let's fix the wound, let's address it, and let's be real about it.
Denise and Aaron, I apologize. We're probably running a little bit late on this, but this is something so passionate to Denise and myself that it has to be spoken. And I know what's going to happen. It's happened before when we had a Black president and then we got Donald Trump because it was a white lash against a Black president. And I understand that. So Mitch McConnell and all of his cronies, including Rand Paul, will come and say, well, we gave you all federal holiday of Juneteenth, so you can't say anything if I don't give you the Voting Rights Act. I'd rather have the Voting Rights Act every day of the week rather than have Juneteenth as a federal holiday.
Correct. And one other thing, since we're there, how about instead of, how about right now we have legislators who are pushing the fact they don't want us to talk about race in schools. The critical race theory, which I believe you all spoken about this perhaps last week. So you all, this is just a Band-Aid. The racism, the bigotry is still being perpetrated by these people who voted yes for this holiday. We have states that are taking away history of the people of color from our Native community to our Indigenous community, to our Blacks, our African Americans, our Latinx community. Those histories should be taught. and the real truth of the racism that we have each faced
100%
should be addressed 100%. And if you're afraid of the truth, what's your hand in all of the true realism that happened?
Yeah,
Period.
it's amazing to me,
All
right?
right, let's keep it going. Sorry.
So like the second that the Tulsa massacre becomes, far more commonplace in terms of understanding that it happened, that it was real, and it took, a couple
And
HBO
actually,
series, took a couple
Tulsa,
HBO series to
and actually the Tulsa that everyone is now talking about,
yes,
sorry, that everyone is talking about now, that we have all been talking about Black Wall Street since forever.
Hallelujah. Yes, we grew up knowing about it. Right.
Right. That was not the only one. There were several times when the United States government took siege and killed Black citizens who were living their life just as they were. Tulsa was the first time that the bombs were used to kill its own people here in the United States. Another time it was used in 1985, I believe it was done in Philadelphia. Took out a whole block, but carry on, sorry. What were you saying, Aaron?
Oh, don't worry about me here. Yeah, no,
you missed me, didn't you? Did you miss me?
Clearly we hit something there, and we should. This is it's important stuff to air. But I was just going to point out that the fact that the Tulsa massacre became common knowledge,
this year.
finally, this year, 100 years later, just in time for the 100th year, memorial of it, and that's the exact moment that Republicans went nuts over critical race theory, right? They're like, we don't want to know about this. We don't want people to know about this. We would much rather this stay, buried in the past. How many folks know that Mount Sterling was a sundown town, or that or what even a sundown town is, right? The fact that Black people were run out of town, if not worse treatment, if they were caught in Mount Sterling, in Montgomery County, yeah. So we got a lot to deal with. I think the reparations conversation needs to happen. I think Ron Johnson is a horrible human, and I really hope he does not go back to the Senate. But what I did want to move on to was story number 2, because
1 second, Aaron,
somehow we are super late, and
I'm so sorry, but I just had to say Mitch is one of 50 Republican senators who represent 33% of the U.S. population. It's minority rule. It doesn't serve the will of the people. And I just referring back to that story that we had only seconds ago. So, I mean, it's power. It's a fundamental power hold on the it's minority rule. That's what they did. That's what they did when there was slavery in America. And you just lie and you steal and so all I can say is it's the conspiracy theories that I feel like that we're fighting against in the Republican Party. They'll do everything they can to sway away from this story.
Awesome.
It's authoritarianism.
To story number 2,
Yes.
Denise Gray, you're gonna tell us a little bit about some local news here.
Well, thank you there, Aaron, and I will read the story that is written. So, hey, everybody. You remember a couple of weeks ago when this show had Reverend Clark Williams of the People's Campaign on to discuss the need to end no knock warrants, right? We saw an interim victory last week in that the Lexington Fayette Urban County City Council voted 9-6 to move forward with an ordinance that would ban no-knock warrants. The ordinance also stipulates how knock and announce warrants must be served. So those that voted in favor of this no-knock, of having the no-knock bill or ordinance move forward were Vice Mayor Steve Kay, and City Council members, Republican Chuck Ellinger and Republican Josh McKern. Thank you all. James Brown, Hannah Legreese, my sister, Liz Sheehan, my councilman, whose last name I cannot pronounce, which is David Clover, and Jennifer Reynolds and Kathy Ploman, which, you know, oddly, there were two people who did not vote in favor, which was, let's see, what are their names? City Councilman Maloney and also, what is her name? She is my friend, Susan Lamb, also voted against moving forward with this no-knock warrant. The ordinance will receive its final vote at the June 14th meeting. So those who voted against this ordinance were voting not to let it move forward. And those who were voting in favor of this ordinance or on this vote were voting to move this ordinance forward to a final vote. So hope on this upcoming week, the 24th, we will have a final decision. So we shall see. And if you all, if any of you all send an email to your city council person or any of the city council members, in the comments here, reply or state if you received a reply from anyone. I received a reply today from that email from my city council member who was in total agreement with me about basically the misinformation that was stated during the meeting about exigent circumstances. So what I did when I sent the information, my email to them, I explained to them what exigent circumstances actually were, so that I would better help them make a decision. So it was great to hear back from the person that's representing the 6th district.
That's awesome. Yeah, Clark went in on the exigent circumstances issue when he was here and explained it, I think, really well. But I guess I guess the city council wasn't all listening to our show. So
no, I guess they weren't. And it's I'm just curious of what the decision will be and what that means for the people of Lexington. Because what I did notice is that many of the city council members who represent perhaps the south side, not necessarily near any side of the north side, they voted against. So I'm just itching to see what the results may be next week.
It clearly wasn't just a kind of a partisan vote, right? Because a couple of those were Republicans. My representative, very disappointed that Preston Morley, who tells me he's a Democrat, that he didn't vote for it. So it's disappointing to see that. So but it seems like it's a good sign. We're like moving in the right direction, and we'll watch closely on the 24th. There was a bit of a blowback, right? Big blowback. I know Ken got involved with some of it.
I did. I absolutely did. I wrote my representatives and the city government, and I didn't hear anything back, but my representative actually voted for to not ban the no-knock warrants. But I also
who's your city council person?
Got into a little Facebook commentary with the Fraternal Order of Police Bluegrass Lodge number 4, which blocked me after I posted about how 5 of the no-knock warrants that happened in the last few years, they got one of them wrong, and it cost Fayette County taxpayers $100,000 in damages. I mean, can you imagine? Like, police are storming your house unannounced into your house. You're in handcuffs. Your kids are crying, getting PSD, and there's nothing you can do. And it was far worse for Breonna Taylor, who was murdered by police because of reckless situation that is still unaccountable for this type of home invasion. And so the FOP said in one of these reports that they have mentally prepared themselves if the ban is enacted. This sounds like a threat to me, but the Constitution says we deserve a speedy trial that makes these but to make these officers judge, jury, and executioner, it's a human rights violation, and it also creates a divide between police and people who, and the police are supposed to provide a service for us. We pay them to serve and protect, but I think Republicans want to change that to punish and kill. So the justice system has to be accountable to us. They are supposed to be there to benefit us, we the people, and not hand out capital punishment in the heat of any moment Police should not be able to bypass the justice system. So this is just a half step toward American fascism, which leads to corruption and brutal police state where some can do no wrong. Some get away suffering no consequences, especially the wealthy and elite. But most of us lose our civil liberties. Republicans are screaming on the internet. They're always screaming about freedom, and the Democrats are going to take away the freedom, but Republicans keep taking it away. I mean, I don't understand how they don't see this disconnect. It's not law and order.
And welcome, folks, to Ken's Soapbox. So the other point I wanted to make, and it was one that Sandy made very well in the comments. Thank you, Sandy Downs. The pressure is real. The FOPs, lies, like the statements they made are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and not factual. But that is a clear signal that they are putting a ton of pressure, and it only takes 2 votes to swing this the other way, right? And we just mentioned there are 2 Republicans that kind of surprised us a little bit and went this way. So it will not be hard if we do not thank all of our reps who did the right thing, lean on our reps who didn't do the right thing, keep the pressure on until, between now and the 24th, for sure. So I used a Kentuckians for the Commonwealth tool to send an email to all my legislators, representatives rather, and I will, city council reps, I'll do that again. I'll do it tonight. I think we should all do it tonight to put the pressure on. So we are super late, and I have to apologize to my guests because we actually do have a segment before our interview. So maybe maybe go get a glass of water, maybe check on your cats, and we'll be right back after Doug Price, who is another returning individual here, another returning colonel, because I did want to note that tonight's episode is pretty much 100% Kentucky colonels, authentic, honorable Kentucky colonels. I'll check in with our guests to see about that. But this is the gentleman who made a number of us colonels through his power and his persuasive ability to get the governor to sign off on a bunch of troublemakers becoming colonels. Our friend, back from some vacation time, Doug Price. Is it vacation when you're retired, or is it just life? I don't know. Doug Price coming back to show us what's up. Doug Price is right.
I guess it's just life.
It's some theme music, sir.
Yeah, I guess this is vacation time. I mean, I'm not working when I'm gone, so it's vacation time. Welcome to another edition of Doug Price is Right, where you hear the progressive truth. My topic tonight is tyrant versus triumph. A discussion about our Governor Beshear. Is he a tyrant, as believed by the Kentucky Senate, House Republican leadership, and the Republican constitutional officers, or has he been triumphant as he moved through uncharted waters during the COVID-19 pandemic? Recently, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting where my Republican state senator constantly referred to the governor's actions as a lockdown. If you look up the definition of a lockdown, it has a negative connotation when thinking about a prison riot. Contrast the lockdown word with Governor Beshear's mantra of "we will get through this, we will get through this together." Which is the side of positivity and which is the side of gloom and doom? I believe that our governor, the CEO of the Commonwealth, acted in the best interest of we the people. On the other hand, the Republicans appear to be acting in their own self-interest, including every one of the elected constitutional officers. Most of them are term limited, except for A.G. Cameron and Secretary of State Adams. Those who are term limited will be trying to switch jobs, so each of them is politicking. The term limited Ag Commissioner Ryan Quarles is making the round across the Commonwealth, and speculation is that he is running for governor. And of course, he has his 2 cents worth. He said, as I travel the state and speak with employers, I hear about the immense labor shortage facing our businesses. While pandemic unemployment assistance was needed temporarily, to help Kentuckians put out of work by the governor's executive orders, we now have employers competing with government checks. There are plenty of jobs in Kentucky. If the governor is serious about getting back to normal and fully reopening our economy, he should encourage people to re-enter the labor force. Note that Quarles blamed the tyrant for executive orders that put people out of work, not the pandemic. Additionally, Quarles filed or joined other suits against Beshear. Beshear said he's trying to thread the needle of maintaining the extra federal payments that pump tens of millions of dollars into the state's economy each week, while encouraging people to go back to work as the economy fully reopens. Much of the extra money is spent at grocery stores and other retail businesses. An immediate termination of those benefits would hurt our economy and hurt a lot of groups, restaurants and others that have suffered during the pandemic. It would put a shock through our system, and it could threaten the way that our recovery is going. On June the 11th, 2021, just a few days ago, Governor Beshear removed most of the mandates he placed to serve his constituents, the people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Rather than kowtow to the demands of the right-wingers of the Commonwealth, he did what was best for the good of all. Isn't that what people should want? As of the date of the relaxed COVID restrictions, Kentucky had a total of 7,147 deaths. We mourn the loss of those people. I wonder, though, what would the number of deaths be if the governor had placed no restrictions? Seeking progressive ideology is hopefully what drives you to this show, because that is what we are all about. Join us and help us move Kentucky from red to purple.
Thank you so much, Doug Price. Always coming correct, always bringing the facts, and always, as you say, the progressive ideology, is that what you said? We're bringing the ideology. All right, speaking of progressive ideology, we now are very, very excited to welcome back to the show, although I believe we were called something else the last time she was here, Tamarra Wieder, who is the Kentucky director. And every time she's on the show, her organization's name changes, our organization name changes. So it's, you know, it's kind of a moving target for either of us, I suppose. But it's Planned Parenthood. I think Advocates is in there. Tell us what's the name of the organization?
Thanks, Aaron. Yes, our name did change on April Fool's Day, no less. We are Planned Parenthood Alliance Advocates of Kentucky.
Rolls off the tongue. I think, but you'll answer to Planned Parenthood, right?
I will answer to Planned Parenthood.
Fantastic.
That I will.
So you are the radical feminists who want to force everyone to have abortions, right? That's what I've heard.
No, not force anybody to have an abortion. No, no. But I am the scary feminist that they do hold over. You know, what happens to your daughters when they go to a liberal college.
So we brought you on because I just really wanted, I mean, I think you talk about women's health access in such a powerful and a just smart way, a fact-based way, which is so rare in the debate around abortion access to find facts, because it seems like it's just scare tactics and vilification. But speaking of, we now have a statewide kind of referendum staring us in the face on, oddly enough, in November of 2022, there's going to be a decision facing Kentucky. It's HB 91. Tell us about that, would you?
Yeah, so House Bill 91, which will be, I don't know how it'll be numbered, but it's a constitutional amendment. So it's going to change the Kentucky Constitution to say that to protect human life, nothing in this Constitution shall be construed to secure or protect a right to abortion or require funding. And what this is, it's a scare tactic, I think, for one, because right now in all of the states, abortion is legal, and in Kentucky as well. There are two providers really holding the line. But I believe it's a scare tactic. It's a tactic to divide people. It's a tactic to divide even the Democratic Party in Kentucky, and to put us at odds with each other. And where, I come at this, abortion politics, I feel like is really intersectional because it's healthcare. And when we look at reproductive health outcomes across the state, we are failing. We are failing horribly. Women of color, are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth. And they're not doing anything to change this. They're not doing anything to change the fact that, over 60% of the counties in Kentucky don't have a practicing OBGYN. And so when they do things like this, they're using a scare tactic to put people against each other. But interestingly enough, when about 2 years ago, when we were becoming Planned Parenthood Alliance advocates, our new affiliate did a poll, and they found that 65% of Kentuckians actually supported access to abortion. And that went across political affiliation, religious affiliation, and we broke down why. And they may identify as pro-life, but they didn't want it illegal. They didn't want it inaccessible. If something happened during a pregnancy, if there was anything that, they needed to make this decision, like the fear of not having access at all. They may not like abortion, but making it illegal was not popular. And I do think, we have our work cut out for us, but I think that people understand what is happening now. And I think that we are at a crossroads to bring people together, and especially around our intersectional values, and fight back and win in 2022. And I think that there's a lot of things that are developing to really create a transformational year for Kentucky politics in 2022.
Well, amen to that. We need some transformation here in Kentucky, that is for sure. But it's interesting because is this bill like necessary? Is there anything in the Kentucky Constitution that makes you think that, the right to an abortion is protected currently? I know that it's the law of the land because of Roe versus Wade, and that is very much in the crosshairs of the right. And I know that, thanks to Mitch McConnell and his hypocritical, use of power, and whenever he possibly can, they have stacked the court in a very real way. And so who knows what happens when this issue gets brought up again. I think we're going to find out relatively soon, which is a little bit frightening. But yeah, is there any, does Kentucky have to have this thing? Did I miss it? I'll be honest, I have not read the Kentucky Constitution. But is there anything in there in your read that makes you think that abortion is protected?
No. I will preface, I'm not the lawyer here, but no, I don't think that there is. And, Kentucky has been one of those states to pass every anti-abortion law in the last 5 years. They've been leading the way on even creating new ones that other states haven't done. And we already have what's called a trigger ban. So if Roe v. Wade falls in whole or in part, so if anything of Roe v. Wade is changed, that becomes law of the land in Kentucky. And so the 15-week ban out of Mississippi is headed to the Supreme Court, and we'll be hearing the decisions next June, so a year from now. And it's scary. This is the fight that we have been screaming is going to happen, with the Supreme Court. We knew that they were going to make abortion part of their docket in some way. And even with this 15-week ban going to the Supreme Court, there's still 15 more cases that the Supreme Court could take. And so, but with them taking this 15-week ban, which is something that Kentucky does have and is in the courts, so we probably will be joining in some fashion. I'm sure Daniel Cameron can't wait to go and join Mississippi. Kentucky abortion politics are going to likely change. And we have this trigger ban in place, and it's an immediate, as an emergency clause pending any changes with Roe. So there is no need for this constitutional amendment other than to play political games with reproductive health on a more broad scale, through the, dividing and conquering the Kentucky, Kentuckians. And that's all I see from this. This is political warfare that they're taking to the ballot.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, when I heard about this, it just all became perfectly clear to me what the strategy was, right? So, the last time we had a statewide election, things went very well for Republicans. They had Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. That was just, as I've said before, rocket fuel for turnout for that.
But I'll say something about turnout. It was
Mhm.
the same turnout from the 2016 elections. He didn't turn out more people, like this. It was like a hair, like a percentage hair, more people. Like it wasn't like more Kentuckians were coming out to vote. I think people weren't excited to also vote, people on the fence, not knowing. And I think that's where we have the opportunity to change things in Kentucky, that we need to do the grassroots campaigning and really bring people who are directly impacted by, constitutional amendment or voting access to these tables and have them leading these coalitions. And I'm really excited. We're in the beginning stages, but we do have a coalition coming together that's really exciting. That's going to, I hope, be part of that transformational process, not only in how politics are, but how people are talking about abortion too.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about it more. I think generally, we need to educate people about this issue. I think you're right that 65%, surveys kind of astounding to a degree. But, people, there's a difference between like being pro-abortion and not wanting it to be illegal in all cases and not wanting people to have the access when it is,
I have a question, but who is actually pro-abortion?
No one.
No one. And that's, the other side, they do a great job at their PR, their marketing, because as someone that has run for office, and you would often hear people in places like Montgomery County, Clark County, who would say, but you're pro-abortion. And my statement is that no one in their right mind is pro-abortion. We're out there for the woman's right to choose to do whatever to do with her body and not be governed by the government, But carry on.
No, and I think it goes beyond. I mean, who has been the leading Republican filing these bills? Representative Joe Fisher. What is the first bill he pre-filed this year? The critical race theory. He is all about control. If you're not a white man, you need to be controlled. Your histories need to be erased. Your uteruses need to have a closed door, it's all about control and the fear of somebody else having power. And I think that's where a lot of these bills take root. It's fear of sexuality. It's fear of freedom. It's fear of what does our history mean then? If we did this, it takes him down. He thinks it takes him down a peg. I think.
Then I believe we need a counter amendment on the ballot about if they're looking to, about abortion, let's do it the opposite side. We can make a amendment for males to have a vasectomy, if they've had more than enough, children. Let's do this.
No, and
somebody filed that bill. Good luck finding that bill. I think
go ahead.
Sorry, so sorry, Tamarra. I just wanted to say, Joe Fisher, we talked about him last week. He was, in fact, our worst politician of the moment last week. I don't know if Ken can find that graphic and put it back up there, but now that you've connected those dots, I think that for sure he needs to hold the baton one more week. But yeah, it's about control, and it's about, it's about firing up their people, right? They know that putting this on the top of the ticket will give them unchecked access to pulpits across our state, our Commonwealth. Every Sunday there's a whole handful of preachers, or many handfuls of preachers, that are willing to rail against this. They won't rail against childhood poverty. They won't rail against all these things that Jesus actually talked about, right? But they will do this, and that is, they want their base fired up, and we've got to get out there and deal with the miseducation about the misinformation, and give the fact-based, common sense approach to why this access is so critical.
Yeah, we need to be bold. We need to not stigmatize the care, but we need to call out these actions. And I feel like it's something that they're not used to having, done, really bold action, call them out, and have candidates who are unafraid to talk about it. I know in Kentucky, I know when I show up, people are like, oh my God, it's Planned Parenthood. You know, and I get the down eyes and I love you, but don't come with me with your questionnaire. This, 2022, you're going to have to talk about abortion, whether you like it or not. It's on the ballot. Like, you can't run from this. And, somebody and love has had an abortion. 1 in 4 women have had an abortion by the time they're 45, wow. And it's just so enmeshed in stigma that it doesn't have the same storytelling that we saw come out of the LGBTQ movement when they were doing their narrative change. And Kentucky is a hard place to share that story, but we need to start breaking down those barriers, because it's not just abortion, it's maternal health. Maternal health is suffering in this state, and it's a component of maternal health.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, since you are with Planned Parenthood, I was endorsed by Planned Parenthood, proudly so. And I wore that with a badge of honor, because Planned Parenthood is not only just that one little section about abortions, but it's also about women's health. Planned Parenthood helped save my life when before the Affordable Care Act, because I was without insurance and could not find medical care. It helped save my life. It really did. And so we do talk about the abortion side, which is what you're here to talk about. But I would love for to talk more about what actually Planned Parenthood does on a regular basis, such as the screenings, cancer screenings, about, pregnancy tests, about STD tests, about, our pap smears. It's so much more than what the public and what the rural people have branded Planned Parenthood for being,
And I'll tell you, we have a lot of people from rural Kentucky coming to get the care that they can't get at their health department. We provide long-acting reversible contraception. They can't get IUDs or implants at most of the health departments, especially not in rural Kentucky. That's not an option for them. And we also see men. Men, comprise a really big part of our population. We provide also PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. I kind of like to call it the birth control for HIV, so we have a lot of services. We also do smoking cessation. We're like a one-stop shop for most people when they come into us. So we have to screen them for many things while they're coming in. We do smoking cessation, healthy relationships. Are they in a safe relationship? And make sure that they're getting access to whatever they need. We screen them for diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. We're part of the community, making sure that our members are safe and healthy.
Right. And so did you all know that Planned Parenthood did all of that?
I mean, maybe not, I didn't hear about PrEP, but the rest of it I was.
So you all that are watching this, I'm asking you all, did you know that Planned Parenthood does all of those things? Be honest. Put it right there in the comments. I want to know when I go back and look at the comments to see if you knew this or not, because a lot of people don't know the real things that Planned Parenthood does every single day in our community that saves lives. 100%.
And I have to say, we were so excited when we endorsed you, Denise.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I do want to say just one thing really quickly. I've always been an advocate and respectful of Planned Parenthood. I'm, at this point in time, I'm 53 years old. And when I was in my younger 20s, I went to Planned Parenthood to get my birth control. I know that Planned Parenthood has helped so many of my family members, close friends of mine, especially when we were younger and we did not have the money to put into our private insurances. And even then, they did more than if you went to your regular OBGYN a lot of times. And I do really respect the work that you're doing, because I had a good close friend of mine, her sister right here in Kentucky, in Paducah, died from a back alley abortion. And so women are going to get abortions, whether, we like it or not, no matter what your faith is, it's going to happen. It's always happened. I know I heard about drinking 2 of those laxative sodas or whatever, and you know that could abort a baby. You hear all kinds of things that can truly hurt your body, and women are going to get abortions if they get raped, incest. You know, I have another friend, they knew that the baby was going to have spina bifida, and they went on and had the abortion. So I really respect what you're doing, and I do understand it, and I just thank you for all the hard work that you are doing. I really appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you. And, you know, one of the things, you know, abortions didn't just miraculously start happening after Roe v. Wade. What we're going to see is that privileged white women are going to get abortions, and those who aren't are going to turn to desperate means to access whatever they find on the internet, by a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend. Abortions are going to happen. They need to be safe.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tamarra. You know, excited to hear that you're kind of putting together the kind of coalition and the campaign, and you know,
Can't wait to hear
if you
about
need
it.
us, if you need us, we're there. We're 100% behind this effort, and we'd love to have you back as you kind of, you know, formulate the game plan. We'd love to hear how we can help and how all of our viewers can be engaged and support.
No, I'd love to give the spot. I mean, we have amazing people who've joined. We have a Black Birthing Coalition that's on leadership. We have Black Lives Matter. We have, I believe, Kentucky Health Justice Network, Fairness, ACLU. We have some rural Appalachian voices that are joining the leadership. Like, you're going to be tired of me, so we'll uplift some of their voices.
Never. But thank you so much.
Thank
We appreciate your time this evening. Sorry to bring you on a little bit late, but everyone has a lot to say tonight. There's a lot, and we really appreciate the glimpses of your cats from time to time, for sure.
I locked them up. They get out.
All right, have a great night. I think we're going to now move to our call to action, and this one's super exciting. It is, speaking of, you know, public health, we are right there in it, and I don't actually. Yeah, let me tell you about it. So we are going to help vaccinate the bluegrass. We're going to be partnering with the Let's Do This campaign, working. You can come and join members of Progress Kentucky and other community members next Saturday, June 26th, to help tell folks what's going on with pop-up mobile vaccination clinics that are happening in neighborhoods that, you know, aren't seeing the same rates of vaccination. Lexington's doing really well in comparison to, you know, the rest of the Commonwealth. Are doing a good job. We're not the #1 county, but I think we're like 3 maybe. But we can definitely do better. And I'm so impressed that the city has committed the resources to do this effort. So it's canvassing, folks. We are knocking on doors to make sure folks know about opportunities to get vaccinated in their neighborhood right then and there. They like, just go get it, because access is a big problem. There are people who, you know, there's a lot of people who are concerned about the magnetism, who do not want force to stick on their heads. But then there's more people who are like, yeah, sure, I get one, but I'm a frontline worker, which means I have a crappy job that doesn't pay me very well and won't give me time off, right? Even though I'm being exposed to it more than anyone. So like, if it's in their neighborhood and their home and we're there, just go do it. And I think this is gonna be really powerful and really helpful. And you should join us. The details are on the screen. There's a link in the comments, I hope. Link in the comments to sign up. And we will see you on the morning of Saturday, June 26th. And then from here, I think we're just going to throw it over to my good friend, my sister, Kimberly Cecil Jones, to close us out.
Thank you, Aaron. And I think that today, you know, we're just so excited. Denise is back. Like, my goodness. Like, she's like that teacher that, you know, left for a while. We had that sub or something, and then the teacher comes back, and we're just like, we love you. We love you. We love you. So we are so glad to have Denise back with us.
Is Nate the weird sub? I mean, is that what?
Evidently, I'm glad.
Plus, with Miss Denise Gray being back, you know, we could put the fire out there, right? We could put the fire out there. So anyway, hey, how would you, yes, I'm talking to you, would like to turn Kentucky purple? If you don't know what that means, You take a whole lot of blue with just a little bit of red, and you're going to get purple. So just being realistic in thought processes, we need to turn Kentucky at least purple so we can get some of the things for the constituency here in Kentucky, because hey, we are suffering here and we need you. We need you to help us with our Facebook likes. We're almost at 4,000. We don't have much more to go. Hey, click on the like button. You know you like us. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Like. And guess what? Share, right? And I think I'm going to get with Nate and we're going to make a song. Like when I do that part, we're going to be like, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, like, and share. This is not just about us. This is about you. It's about getting the state where it needs to be. And we're counting on you to do that. Now, you know that we need more kernels of truth. So we're asking you and we're calling out specific individuals, and we call them by name because we're never scared to tell you the truth and to be transparent. And those people would be Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Andy Barr, Thomas Massie. And we can go on to the state level as well, just like the majority of the legislative in Frankfort. We need your help to get things done. So we're going to mobilize folks. We're going to do some postcards. We're going to be knocking on doors. We got so much that we have to do. And just us being on this show tonight is not enough. But I do believe in Martin Luther King when he said it just takes one to affect hundreds, which can affect thousands, which can affect millions. And that one person starts with you. So we've got a goal of $1,500 that we need to raise. We're about 20% there. So, you know, whatever you have to give, $1, $100, $1,000, we'll take it. And we are so appreciative to the efforts and how you feel about what we're doing in Kentucky. So you can see up on the screen, there is the link to Act Blue, where you can make your donation to this very, very important campaign. And we're also looking for more volunteers. Are you interested in helping put together a bi-weekly newsletter? Can you bird dog your own representative on social media? Let me stop right there real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Bird dogging. For those that don't know what bird dogging is, that is actually when you get your legislative people to admit something and you actually can put it on film, picture, tape it, whatever. So you can, you know, hold them accountable to what they're saying. You know, can you do that? Can you help with social media and share when they embrace, you know, QAnon or Q or whoever you want to call it, or the big lie, or just show their, I say this every week, like, who put this in here rear end? Is that you, Ken?
It's not me. I didn't do it. It's not
Must be Aaron. I'm just going to say, you know, they show their ass. That's AZZ. Okay. I'm just saying. So we want to do something and we need you to help us. And I know you want to do something too. So help us find the next worst politician of the moment and help us hold those folks accountable, because that's what the problem has been. They haven't been held to account. So also, we could not get this show done if it were not for the Mr. Ken Howe of Couchfire Media. Just want to tell you that Couchfire Media ignites multi-camera, live stream, fiction, narrative, nonfiction, educational, informative, animation, and commercial video production content. So set your content on fire with Couchfire Media, and that's www.couchfiremedia.com. You can get a host of services that Ken Howe and his team can help you with. Also, you know, some of us are doing a few things outside of the Kernels of Truth and Progress Kentucky. And one would be, yes, the Jones Report with Mike Breuer and Betsy Foster. And of course, as your host, it would be me. And we talk more about international and national politics. So join us every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You can see that particular podcast on this channel right here, Progress Kentucky, or on the Jones Report radio program. Facebook page. And also my sister.
I want to ask something. So you guys had a like killer episode last week. So if folks missed it, or last night, right? What did you have? You had crazy views and you had some really cool content. Who was it that you had on?
We had Barbie Ann Maynard, who was voted from the Guardian.com, you know, the publication. She was voted one of the 10 top women in the world for water. She's been fighting this fight for 21 years in Martin County, right here in Kentucky, for them to have adequate water for the children and the citizens of that particular county. It's almost worse than Flint. And it took a lot for me to really see that, but they need help. They really do. And we also had beautiful, beautiful young lady, Ariana Velasquez, last night as well. So she lives in a county over from Barbie Ann, and it was absolutely phenomenal. The actual conversations that we had last night and the things that we learned, and how we in the city, we need to be more cognizant of what's happening in rural and Appalachian Kentucky.
But these folks weren't like first time on video, right? They were like, there was like a video that they had just been in. Is that correct?
Oh, you know what, Aaron? I don't know why you just didn't say it, but you know what? The White House called my co-host, my sister, my friend, Betsy Foster, when she told me, I about flipped out, like, who called you? The White House? Oh my God, oh my God. And she was able to get a coalition of people together, and the White House, their video team, actually came to Kentucky to film about a lot of these issues in some of these counties. And this is helping towards President Biden's infrastructure plan, and just showing that. Yeah, it's just remarkable what's going on, and the Biden administration. But don't let me veer off too much, because I could just be saying all kinds of great things about President Biden. But I do want to talk about my good friend, my sister, Denise Gray, that I was so happy to see at Mike Breuer's farm. We had a good time. And she has a show also that you need. I'm going to tell you, mark your calendar, do a schedule.
We're on hiatus, by the way. We're on hiatus, but mark your calendars for later on this year. Okay.
You know what? Just go and you can start looking and get kind of caught up. Like, just take a day and like binge watch Kentucky Conversations with Denise Gray, because it is absolutely phenomenal. You're going to learn a lot of things that are happening in this state that you had no idea. So you can watch her on the Bluegrass Activist page and just kind of get caught up with that. And then, of course, I would be remiss if we did not honor our good friend and co-host also, Nate Orshan, for the song that you hear before on the intro and the outro. And you can hear more of his songs on natosongs.com, and that is NATO songs.com. So I just want to let you guys know, be sure to join us next week. Why? Because we're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, which is the Biden American Rescue Plan and the idea of a Green New Deal for Kentucky, and how clean energy projects can play a role, with guest, oh wow, Adam Edelin of Edelin Renewables is going to be on next week. So you do not, I promise you, you do not want to miss this. And always the biggest shout out to the greatest host besides myself, Mr. Aaron Viles, my brother as well. And always the great information that Doug Price gives us. And so glad my sister is back, Miss Denise Gray. And also to our special guest tonight that really broke things down that even a second grader can understand, because some of these Republicans, I just don't know if they even finished elementary school. But Miss Tamarra Wilder, we really appreciate everything that she did tonight. And hey, you guys, let's do this. This week, do something nice for somebody, right? just a smile, a hello, call a friend or family member you haven't talked to for a while and just say, hey, I had you on my mind. Doesn't take any money, doesn't take a lot of time, and it's going to make you feel good, and it's going to make the other person feel even better. So until then, thank you so much, and we'll see you here next week.